Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Godot Tower Defense tutorial. If you haven't already guessed, in this episode we're going to be looking at sound effects, okay? Creating an explosion sound whenever these guys blow up. Now I know at the moment it doesn't look great. What we really would like to see is some sort of explosion particle emitter, and I do promise you that is coming. I've been working with one of the very helpful followers on the channel to try and get this all sorted, and that will be coming soon. But in the meantime, we can actually address one thing is the sound effects, which is actually very simple, but it does mean that we need to sort something out that's been long standing and needs to be looked at, and that is around the fact that we're currently firing at the area 3D and not the enemy. So let's look at how we go about adding a sound effect to our enemy explosion. Okay, there is one thing that we need to change before we go in. I've realised there was a little bit of a mistake here. Actually, as soon as the health has run out, we really don't want to be calling Q3. If we're going to follow the state model, then what we should actually be doing is going to the dying state, okay, which is here, to dying. So from the travelling, we want to add this here to dying state. So we want to make calling them the send event to dying state. So let's quickly do that. Dollar enemy state chart dot send event to dying state, and then we will add a listener for the dying state here. Node state entity is already there, lovely, on dying state here, so it doesn't to remove enemy state. Okay, so there we go. So that's actually going to go straight to remove enemy, and that then should, if it behaves itself, do the Q3 straight away. So let's just double check that actually works. Let's pull these boys in. Yes, there we go. So it's doing the same thing. So when it's dying, it's actually going straight into the remove enemy state right now. We don't want it doing that right away. We want it to play a sound. So that's actually what I've actually done is I've actually got a file from the internet called explosion.mp3. There it is. So what I'm going to do in our res folder here is I'm going to create a new folder called audio. I am going to go to the audio folder here, go to downloads. Let me see if I can get this working. I seem to struggle to drag these in. Let's try that. Yeah, you see, I think, if I'm not mistaken, does that work? No, there we go. That has worked. It has worked. Let's put it in there. Explosion.mp3. Very easy indeed. And what we can do now, if we go to our actual enemy itself and go to the enemy route here, what we'll do is we'll just add a child node. And if we just type audio in here, and the one we're after, we can do sort of audio stream player 3D. If you want to create 3D sound, we're going to go for a very basic audio stream player. And if we just click on create now, and then click on inspector, and what you'll see over here is we have our stream information, and this should be quite straightforward. If we just click on stream here, we can actually say quick load, and I think it'll be the only one there, so we can just say explosion.mp3. That's a good start. The only other thing I'm going to change is this bus here. It's saying master, okay, which is like the master volume, but if I go over to the audio settings here, we can actually create what do you want to call them, child sounds. So if I just click on add bus here, I will create this and I'll call this FX. And there we go. And you can just say what the parent is, and it's master. There is no choice right now but to have FX as the master. And back on our audio stream player, rather than have the bus as the master, we'll have it as the FX bus. So if we want to lower the volume of the sound effects or whatever, so we can have a music bus here as well, makes sense, right? I have a video on this on one of my UI tutorials, so I'll send a link to that down below. Put a link down to that down below for you to review if you wish, because you can adjust the volume of these things. It's very straightforward to do, and that's actually all there is to it. We need to add a little bit of logic into our script to say where are we on dying state, which I will find. Here we go. We'll just add a little thing here. We'll just, for now, we'll just say, I'm pressing caps lock, hang on, we'll say what's that as well? Should we rename that? Should we rename that to explosion audio? And then here we'll just say $audio explosion audio rather dot play. Right, and then we'll just say await $explosion audio dot finished there. Okay, so that's going to play it and it's going to wait, and then it's going to send that event there, and we're going to spot a rather annoying issue. So let's just press play here. I'm hoping this will work straight out of the box. Okay, so we're getting our explosion. One thing, it's sitting there. It does eventually remove it, but not straight away. That's okay. We can almost certainly fix that. So let's just do that. So if we go in here, we'll just add another thing to say it's the enemy UFO red, right? So if we say $path3D enemy UFO red, there you go, dot visible equals false. That'll equals false. Control this again if we click here. And now if we delete it, what I might actually do, what I might just do is if I go into main, I'm just going to make it so it only creates one of them. Not 12, one. There we go. Okay, and now if I run it, quickly get them in before it's too late, you'll see something rather daft happen. They will continue to fire at nothing. And the reason they're firing at nothing is because actually, although the enemy has been destroyed, it's still playing that audio. And this is all part of the problem of where we've had this area 3D here. What we really should be doing is having a signal to tell the turret that this thing is dead. So the way I'm going to do this is if I go to my basic enemy script here, I'm going to make this an actual class. I'm going to call this class name up here, class name enemy, and we can extend that and do what we like with it. What we will then have here is a signal to say something like enemy finished. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, and then what we'll do when it's destroyed is we will say enemy finished.emit. So it's on despawning would be one spot, wouldn't it? There we go. I'm going to get rid of these text bits. Enemy finished.emit there. And on the dying state as well, we'll say enemy finished.emit. Right now, anything listening for that now can say, "Oh, good, right? No, I don't need to do it anymore." And the turret would be great. And you would think maybe straight away we can just say on the ready function just to connect this here to the emit state, but we can't because unfortunately we are actually the current enemy points to the area 3D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method, a recursive method here that goes and finds, it goes up the tree until it finds the node that contains an enemy class script. And this is actually quite straightforward. So we'll just say here, func underscore find enemy parent. And we'll call something like that and we'll say n of type node. All right, and then what we then say is if n is enemy, return n. Elif n dot, I think it has parent, get parent, is not equal to null, return underscore find enemy parent, it's going to be n dot get parent, and then otherwise else return null. So what have we just done here? What have we just done? Well, what we're saying is I'm going to go up the tree, and remember current enemy is here. I'm going to go up the tree. I'm going to say, is this the one that we're at the minute, which will be current enemy to start with? Is that an enemy class? No, it's not. Okay, go to the next one. Path follow 3D. Is that an enemy class? No. Okay, keep going up, and it'll get here eventually. Now, I think the reason I've done it like this and this kind of not equal to null thing going on is I think potentially we could end up in a situation where we make a mistake and perhaps the enemy script isn't there or something like that. So I'm just being a bit careful. I could also use relative paths, because in this example it goes up 3. I didn't really want to do that because it's probably going to catch us out later on, so it might be a little bit overkill for that. So now what we can do in our on patrol zone, not on patrol zone, it's on our patrolling, what we need to do up here is have a reference to that enemy. So we'll say var current, what should we call it, current enemy class. I don't love that. And it's going to be a type enemy. Let's just set it for null to now, right? And now what we can do down in our patrolling class, which I've now lost, here we go, is we will say current enemy class equals get, underscore find enemy parent. I can see there's an error there. We'll have a look at that in a second. And we're starting with the current enemy. Okay, and let's just see what's wrong with here. If n is enemy, what's wrong with that? Could not find type enemy. Let's control S. And of course it's because it couldn't compile it. There we go. I missed the enemy emit there. Okay, so now if I control save that, back to turret, I think that will now, there we go away. Sorry about that. Sorry, and well done for those that spotted that when I was doing it. Okay, am I recording? I am. Okay, right, so now what we can do here, now that we've got that current enemy class, is we can say, if I can find it, here we go, current enemy class equals find enemy parent, right, current enemy, and then we'll just say current enemy class dot connect dot enemy finished dot connect, and we'll call this something like remove current enemy. And in here then we need to have a function called remove current enemy. Yep, func remove current enemy, and that's going to say enemies in range dot erase current enemy. Okay, let's just see how that goes. Okay, we've done a lot of stuff here, haven't we? This might not work yet. Let's just double check. Yeah, because this current enemy connect. Let's just see how we get on. Drag them in. We'll soon know because it'll stop. And they have stopped firing at it. Just to prove that. Let's just do here. Print here. Yep. Enemy finished. Make absolutely sure that we're doing it. Okay. That's it, and then press play again. Drag these boys in. I like these straight ones. I've seen a few of these every now and again. And there we go. So enemy finished. And the reason it's got it twice is because there's two turrets, right? And now the turrets know to remove that from the enemies in range, and therefore they'll stop firing at it. And that gives us some real options now. It means that what we can actually do is we can start putting the particle effects, all those good stuff in here, and the turret won't be waiting for that enemy to be finished. Also, it's worth bearing in mind that this is also now going to work because we're doing it at the if I was to try and do this on the despawning here, if I add the this might be a little bit too late, but if I was to add one here, before we do that, let me just make it so that the turret, the cannonball, where are you, projectile, there you are, let's make it do 5 damage or something like that, right? Okay, and then if we back here, not that one, so we click here, and then we'll pull this over here, and I will fast forward this bit till it gets till the end. And there you go. You can see, I thought it was going to just right then for a second. It's got enemy finished. And so, okay, so it stops firing at it. This is really good. Now, actually, what we can really show, well, this is going to really shine now, is if we have 10 enemies or whatever. Let's get the projectile doing. Let's get this to do 15. Should we just mucking around, doing a little bit of balancing early. So let's just do this. A couple of these here. All right, and we'll see now when these go destroy, it immediately moves on to the next one. That's exactly what we're after. We don't want it hanging about. There is still, did you notice that there? There is still possibly, it's going to be, there we go. You may just see that the cannonballs are still kind of just going to it. I think when we've got our explosion working correctly, that will actually be fine because by the time it's reached it, the cannonball will have disappeared. So I think we're fine in that regard. So that really is it. Very, very straightforward, very, very simple. How to use sound effects in Godot. That's one of the things I really like about Godot. Can't say quite the same yet for particle effects. They seem to be very, very fiddly, but I will get back to you on that. So there you go. So it's a really, really quick tutorial. Thank you for watching. I will look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, shark out.